Hello everyone, this is Ali Merch, and within this video we're going to address a second project. In a previous project we were addressing the sport electric car Nevera Rimac, and here we're addressing another car that is called, the brand of it is Polestar. The idea is to combine two in one and compare, relatively speaking, to have variety and evaluate projects, and I'll continue doing the same thing. In architecture field, they'll do the same. I'm thinking to take Spotify and Airbnb perhaps as in applications. And I like high level projects, and I'm evaluating them from now on from three perspectives: brand identity, interface design, and web development. Now, why I would be doing that is because this is my expertise. This is what I deliver. And in combination, separately and deeper into small components, depends on what my clients need. Also, I want to encourage you to actually check the links below. You'll be able to see short video of my work. You can see other free videos that explaining on every area, like as I mentioned, brand identity, interface design, and web development, where I'm explaining deeper. Also, you can find my capabilities deck and, or we can call it showcase as a document, interactive, interesting document that will take you from step to step to find out everything you need to know, what it means, what to expect, how it works, price, and so on. Should you find where it fit well, I will be happy to work on your projects. So the point of all this that I'm demonstrating these projects is because I understand, me using platform Figma for design and Webflow for coding, I understand that I can achieve these things. And I am evaluating these projects from perspective of, also I'm saying what is harder to build, what is easier to build. And I'm saying that, hey, it's easy to build. I want to build these kind of things and I'll be happy to work on them. Let me evaluate something like you see here, in the previous video. And I'm looking forward to play with that. I want to reach that professional, high fidelity, trustworthy brand and design of touch points. So customers, your customers will, users will meet user needs and will also meet your business goals. So your users will want to part with money and part with money in order to gain the product that you have to offer for them in the marketplace, in order for you to achieve your goals, right? Seamlessly. So here we're observing Polestar car. What I want to say, in a previous video, I said, well, Polestar starts with the photography and right away we see videography. And here, as we start from here, I want to point out a really important part is that because I'm located in Barcelona in Spain, they already communicating with me in Spanish language. They put me on ES, right? And what I see right away, you'll start to understand that every region, different region around the world, from this brand perspective, they sell different product. Now here we see they right away up front selling Polestar free car. That means probably in Europe, or probably definitely in Spain. Now, what I want to point out, it's quite clever, of course, marketing and sales. It's correct way to do. This is what they want to address, knowing their audience, having proper analytics. Now, here, what I want to first thing address is that I am not really fond of when websites bring me right away to a language where I am located in, because I'm worldwide and world class, right? I'm not really understanding Spanish. I'm in Barcelona. I'm speaking English. I would like to see website in English. Nevertheless, I understand why this is made, because they focusing on audience in this location. Makes sense. Now, if that's the case, it must be easy to find how to change language. Many pages actually making that too complicated. Always actually, and that's the problem, you care for your user to have seamless user experience on the touchpoint like website that we see here. And if that's complicating, you're already losing audience. You're losing a good word. You're losing and will to be part of your brand and word of mouth. Now, here, again, as I'm saying, Polestar, by the way, you can see the different experience. This is actually the main image that is on a main English page. Nevertheless, let's skip everything right away, and you can see different elements, quite beautiful. That's the thing. They have some addition, different adaptation towards the location around the world, but I'm not going to address that. I wanted to show you that it's quite easy to see that it must be easy to find the language. I see this Spania, right, or whatever you call it. And I see that, well, that's pretty clear. This is a language where I can change. It's easy to enter, and it's pretty straightforward. You can see it's not a big list. You don't need to search. It's just selection where they're actually selling the product. And what I like about this, and I'll tell you the mistake that most websites do, or applications, is that when I'm in Spanish, let's say in this example, if I will go into this page where I can select a language or country, what they're going to do, they're going to call all those names in Spanish. And if I'll be search, for example, on one English language, on one USA or UK, and when I type, it's not going to show me what I'm searching because I'm typing in English, but they're presenting me. But there's, unfortunately, everything is written in Spanish, so I cannot really find it correctly. And that's a really bad user experience. Now here, in this case, we see that they didn't make that mistake. It's pretty easy to find. It's great. I find it perfect. Now, everything is in English. That's the point, because if I'm willing to change Spanish language, that means most likely I'm not really familiar with Spanish well enough. And if I enter here, having names in Spanish doesn't really help me at all. It actually confuses me because I cannot find what I'm searching for. But these guys made it clear, definitely English is universal. You'll be able to find it. Perfect. Moreover, what they have, and I appreciate that as a user, is that, hey, I'm world class. I'm not living in one location. I'm moving around. So they said, because if I'll select USA, UK, it'll be adapted to the country. But they have a global version, and I like that. That's the universal website. And that's what I'm going to go into as myself. I find it really well thought. User experience is top so far with language perspective. By the way, speaking of Webflow, I will go to the global page, and you can see, by the way, I'll tell you in a second about Webflow that I wanted to say. Here, right away, that's what I mentioned, photography. Right away, we see the photo, and I'll be talking about brand identity in a second. But what I want to say about speaking about language in Webflow, it's easier to build. I'm using Webflow for coding if it's website, I'm doing it pixel perfect, high fidelity, responsive website. And also most of the time I have all free services for my client. I would do design before coding, and I will do that in a Figma platform. And I would, if I would do the design, and most of the time this is happening like that, I will do the Webflow pixel perfect the way I actually predicted in design exactly. And also I usually do the brand identity before that. And that means when I do design, I'm actually applying all brand identity that I built. So there's a bridge between all of them. Now, not always, of course, but it's really commonly met with my clients. Now, here, again, this is the example that I respect, and I'm not really fond of sport cars or any other car, but being a UX UI designer and branding specialist, I do explore and come up, bump into somewhat kind of interesting design websites, and I'm definitely gonna remember that. And if I really like it, like this one, that's what I like. So I want to evaluate that. I really like what they did, so I want to give it as an example. And what I would like to build from work with my clients to build some of this level as website as I'm addressing here now. And in Webflow, if there's a lot of languages, it's easy to build and encode all those languages. You just duplicate. It's content management system, CMS. Now here, what do we see? Let's talk about brand identity right away. Now, first of all, you can see as we're in a global, you can see that in this global, they're actually focusing on Polestar 2 rather than 3, right? That's interesting. And also, brand identity is top. Okay, we know that Polestar existing in the marketplace for quite a while, and their main accent, you can say it's red accent, strong, and arrow orange, you can see it's always indicating, well, they have beautiful font, good hierarchy, good size, everything is well done, imagery, the dynamic, beautiful, speaks right away, no positioning statement. Actually, positioning statement is quite short here. Increased range, faster charging. That means probably that's electric car as well, faster charging. That's interesting. So, and you could say, actually, speaking about competitive landscape in respect to the previous website that I addressed, or brand, Nevera Remark, because that's the sport car and that's electric car. But this is electric car, I believe, and they have different target audience. Okay, you could say that they focusing both. Every car is in the same industry, right? It's the same competition. Their function from A to B driving, right? And it must be ergonomically comfortable, quick, easy, maybe in some economical degree, and so on. You name it. So you want your user to be part of the brand. Now, then they spread deeper into the categories of area of the competition. And you could say, for example, when we'll observe further with you, you'll see that Polestar has one car, sport car, I believe, and it looks even in the color, exactly the same color, almost as Nevera Remark. So they're actually kind of overlapping with competition within the car industry. And what happens is like, well, you didn't really want to lean towards that direction because what's the difference again? Nevera Remark is so specialized in one car type, energy, right? Sport electric car, okay? But here, these are not necessarily sport cars, they probably already are electric, but they have different target, right, to the degree. So they're not totally competitive, but they're competitive in a general category. Anyways, it's quite interesting to observe. Competitive landscape is important to address, and not only in respect to the blue ocean or white space, whatever, but also in respect to the brand identity, look and feel, color selection, font. You need to stand out, not to be lost in a trend, and not also to be lost looking like everyone else. So that's why competition is really important to address, and it's some kind of leaning towards brand strategy that I always also familiar with, and I'm applying that in my practice now. Let's go deeper and address one more thing. Where address color, where address everything. I would say that this box could be improved. If you hover over, you could do the black color. I think it will be more effective, but a small detail, not necessarily important. Now, what else? The menu really good. Again, the same. These guys are professional. They're already predicting. They're doing this menu exactly to fit mobile version. You'll see later on. Beautiful font, beautiful hierarchy, white background, beautiful. And I want to say again, remember I was mentioning in the previous video, if you watched that, and if you didn't, check it out. Good to compare those two. So I was addressing spectrum of of websites, complexity or reason to build. So you could say that spectrum has two extremes. One extreme of the spectrum is making website as or any other UX UI interface, making in this case website simple as black and white, right? Simple static. And other extreme of spectrum is to make too much interactive and responsive elements. I explain what's the difference, why both of them not really great, though both can be well done, and drawbacks and benefits. But the best thing I would say it's a balance point in between, golden spot, right? And I was saying that Navak, previous video, they're leaning towards the too much interactions, too much responsiveness happening on a website, which creates too much challenges and more budget, more time required, more focus and deliberate decisions must be made. But here, that's the thing. They have a balance between both extremes. They in a midpoint. That's what I like. They're not many interactions, right? There, it's enough, and it also prevents from slow loading, right? And it's also easier to build to the degree. Anyways, that's something important to address. That's what I like them, and you'll see that they sustaining a high degree of professional and trustworthy level. Why? Because you'll see when I'll be showing a mobile version, they paid attention to every detail and they want user to have a full immersive experience, landscape and portrait. And more detail, like both actually, previous Navarro remark also respects brand guidelines really well. They really pay attention to. But this is in the midpoint. Now, if I click this menu, you can see that that's the thing, like you can see that Navak has more interactions with elements, but here, like the menu doesn't give any interaction. That's okay. That's why it's in the midpoint. It's not too much static and it's not too much dynamic. And you can see the menu is quite clean, but also you can see one web flow thing that you can see. You cannot scroll. In coding, you can freeze the screen once we enter menu. It's a small thing to do, but it's important to know. And you can manipulate code within Webflow. That's what I like Webflow. You can manipulate code to the detail exactly as I want it to be in Figma. Now, you cannot scroll. I know that you have to with code to freeze the scrollability effect. And once we're out of the menu, we're back to scroll, right? That's not here. I'm addressing a little bit of web development part. Now, let's go to interface design more. Brand identity is pretty clean, pretty straightforward. Same as I defined in the previous video. These things are done together with the product as a car before even website to be thought at all. And I already explained in the previous video what's the procedure of building, branding, and what I'm actually also recommending as a service, doing all those things and how I would do that. Now, let's go further for the interface design. We go here again. What I want to say about brand identity is that you can see that probably the product itself, most of the time, communicating already the color and style. You can see the white color. The intense red is that they have color as indicator, and accent is orange, might be out of this disk element. Beautiful, beautiful elements, white, square, font, everything beautiful. Orange always will be good, visible on white and black on any opacity. Good selection. Full on, full screen view, that's what we sell. Now, this is the most interactive, most complex thing I want to address this one. This is the section that most will take time to build, and I'll tell you why. Because there are a lot of things are involved into this. First of all, it's horizontal scrolling thing, the container. And what happens here, by the way, beautiful black background. You can see how orange looks like on the background. You can see small interaction happens when you hover over. Arrow moves to the right. And what you see here again is the same as in the previous website. Cursor disappears and it starts to indicate which direction you can scroll. And if I click and hold, you can see it also indicates the dynamic. And if I let go, you will see that the cars will change. They move to the turn. This is an unbelievable thing. I think this is a unique element that they have. Now, Nivera had the previous website, the previous product that we observed, they had the landing page, interesting carousel turning in a 3D dynamic. That was a unique element that they had. These guys have, Polestar has this special interaction that will be memorable and impressive. And this will take most time, I guess, to deal with. But it's not complicated. I will say with Webflow, you can build it. The whole thing is, again, as I mentioned it before, it's important to have right assets. Like in this case, of course, this is a car industry. These guys had 3D models to deliver, to build this website as an asset. That's perfect. Videography, photography, everything is delivered, right? Unless I'm doing branding identity in the beginning with them, we'll define everything and they'll work with other people partnering for photography, videography, and for the 3D modeling. Those elements will be available for the website to be built, and we'll play with those elements in design to predict and then make it alive in coding. That's what I do, the bridging and all those three areas, right? So here, 3D asset is important. Now, what is happening here is they check this out. So if I hover over the zone on the right, you can see that the right car will show itself. You see, showing its front, and it's quite relatively simple interaction done within a Webflow platform that I use. So it's like when we hover over this zone, we tell every element to rotate in x-axis specific percentage, right? So that's as simple as that. The whole thing is to have 3D model that is rotatable and to manipulate it. So that is also not that hard to do, but this clever, sophisticated interactive mechanic must be predicted and done, and that takes time. Now, and nevertheless, you can see how smooth it is. It's not glitchy. It's clean. You can see the number behind also moves. Everything has its own interaction. When I click, its number fades away, car turns to the whole view, and it repeats all over again. And the text also disappears up, and the new text comes up from the bottom to the center. Let's do it again. You observe the text, how you see it interacts. Everything's smooth, no glitches, perfectly done. Another thing is what happens if I'll click this box, it will turn really quickly to the left in this case, but if I'll go to the top, to the most right, it will be quicker in turn. So that's also something that is registered in the interactive percentage and with respect to all those assets. Now here, as we actually turned, we see a really similar car to Nivera Remark. And that's what I mean by sport car. I don't know if it's electric car, probably, but it's kind of the leaning forward to the competition towards that zone. But I doubt that it can compete with the previous product that we observed with you, simply because they specialize totally on one sport car, electric. But these guys just spreading a little bit too thin, so it's hard to compete. Nevertheless, it gives this option. It's beautiful that they can do that. That's great. So this is interesting, and you'll see what I mean by observing mobile version. They adapted really well, professional, trustworthy, high level. So your users will be ready to part with money. Their users, that these Polestar customers will want to part with money to buy this car because they demonstrate the position they memorable, they recognizable, they demonstrating such a level that you want to be part of the brand and gain their product, right? Okay, let's continue. Now, this thing is quite simple, right? It's not that complicated to build. It's a video that just slides under the background and then it fills in as we scroll the full size and we observe the video if we want to. That is demonstration pretty clear. Now I'm scrolling down and leaving that screen. It could be a little bit more smoother though, but it's okay. Now here is another way start to witness another color from brand identity, beautiful color. You can see also that they have box idea of the white framing, beautiful idea. That's the brand identity to respect, beautiful font also. It's amazing to have this kind of relatively unique font. You also can see that a orange arrow is also well definable. We can define it pretty clearly, even on the clean yellow color. Let's continue further. We're getting to the end, and first time we witnessed how orange color actually is applied in the font on the black background, looking beautiful. Also in the brand identity, me building brand identity books on it or similar, you can understand, actually, I can understand they defined the brand photography look and feel, imagery look and feel, and positioning and so on. Beautiful. Also, we can see how our orange arrow or accent can look on a white background. Now we get to the end. Also, gray color is one of the symbolical, really subtle, really looks well with orange. I think it does give the technical feeling, but also the orange accent is powerful with black and white. Beautiful. Now here, what else I can see? I will be paying attention to this one latest news in respect to the mobile version soon. Now let's go to the mobile version, I believe. Let me scroll all up and go to the mobile. Now, here we see the mobile device, and again, it's clean, it's well. If we check the menu, there you go, that's what I'm mentioning. It's already predicted in the desktop, it's the same structure, clean, beautiful. If we go further down, there you go. You see, when we go down, why they do that? It's smart and it's correct. It's user responsive, perfect care for user experience on the portrait mode. By the way, before I continue, I noticed the menu, you can see that when I scroll up, menu appears. When I scroll down, menu disappears. That is good also to save space on the small screen for user to enjoy the visual. Now, if I go up, you can see menu. I would only think that I would recommend to do this menu to look smaller. There's a space a little bit to improve, to look more professional, but it's okay, it's a small thing. Now, you can see that on a mobile device, we see the back of the car because that fits well perfectly in aesthetics and professional look and feel and flavor for user to experience and trust because it fits in the portrait. If you would try to fit landscape car within this, it will be too small and it will not look professional. They predicted that. They probably have that indicated in their brand identity book. And it's important. And someone is really looking really well, observing really well, and making sure that it is respected. Really well done. Now let's go further. This one is also interesting. So again, landscape, and you'll notice, you witness that it'll be portrait. Let me see, still loading, I guess. Yeah. So portrait, everything is well. You can see this is the front car, and here we had landscape. Now the thing I say, that's what I mean, like just because mobile version and the portrait mode have a slight different assets, different imagery, different preview to the degree. It does take more time and budget to build it, but it's professional look and feel when you actually not only replicating the same, but you're replacing in respect to the size. But more importantly, I would say the easy thing is if you already did this in coding, the interaction and everything, you use the same interaction for this thing. You're just going to replace. As we minimize the screen, we just replace the asset with different element. But we use the same interactive structure that we'll build, so it saves some time. You don't need to recreate interaction, but you'll have to recreate the look and feel and assets replacement. Really well done. I mean, I'm definitely sure that you will not be able to tab those squares. They're too small, and it's not the point. It's all about clicking left, right. So it's even smooth. It's beautiful, right? Again, even you hover over the side, you can see it's revealing itself a little bit more. Beautiful, well done. If we go further, video is same, nothing really much in difference. Well done. And then we have this yellow, and also I want to say something about yellow. By the way, imagery, you see, in this case, they use the same image. Pretty good, it's fine, right? If it fits, if it speaks well, that's the dynamic. They want to show the car, the location in the downtown. That's beautiful. If it fits, you don't need to replace, you have the same image. It's always important to have it, if it's, you wanted to make it clear that you can click or tap. So this element always having encoding the view width percentage, so it's always fitting when you change the size. Also want to say in design perspective, interface design perspective, it fits exactly size as this image. If you think about it, this space is not used, but it's so well done. The distancing between text and hierarchy and the font selection, as well as learn more position with the arrow, makes it so beautiful with the color choice that this space doesn't look like it's something missing. It's done perfectly. Really well done. Now, if we continue further, that's what I was addressing, is that when we go to the news, read more, even the small detail, here we have a lot of space, so we have read more. But if you're on a mobile device, it's just an arrow without read more. Those small things makes you to understand that people who build this website, they are deliberately, professionally thinking about the responsiveness and user experience and save space and making it not overwhelmed. There are a lot of things that in consideration when you build these kind of UX UI, whether it be a website or any other application or platform. Now, that's all I want to address. Also, something new here, this was not on the desktop. Also, small details like this turning element, they still have interaction enough. If you click, it becomes minus, pretty beautiful, pretty right away indicating. You can see they don't overwhelm content. They could do like you hover over this one, it will become orange color, but they don't overuse the brand identity. They do it minimal clean, so it just changes in opacity. This is also a clever decision they made. So that's all I want to address. Let's evaluate in total. I would say, hey, they achieved the balance between, because the previous website would say, if you go to the mobile device, it's almost exactly the same. Also well done. Don't get me wrong. It's just they're leaning too much towards the extreme one spectrum extreme where too much videos, too much interactions happening, and it's harder to build, slower to load, and it takes more time, more budget, doesn't serve any purpose. So and none of them actually static or simple. So I like what they did, all of them here, both of those projects. But this one is still in a balance point, I would say. Branding identity, both of them did great, right? It's important for them to be professional, right to the point, and consistent. Consistency is a big deal. And if we talk about website, it's well done. Nothing to say really. Well done project. Not overwhelming. We could go deeper, explore every car, but I'm not doing that. That will take too much time. And coding wise, I would say the most complicated thing out of all of this is only this section, I would say. The rest will take some time. This video effect, it takes some time to build it. It's not that problematic, or the zoom in effect. It's all simple, making sure everything is professionally responsive. There's not much complexity. The most complex thing to build is definitely these 3D elements to turn around and respond interactively, professionally, in a trustworthy degree for your users to be impressed and want to be part of this brand and part with the money to buy the product in the marketplace. So I would say that's all, guys. I wanted to evaluate. I am finding it interesting. Let me open Behance also. So I find it interesting. The whole point, I'll continue further. I find it, I want to deliver and present these kind of products and projects that I see that they did really professionally. And by observing their branding, observing the touch point, in this case, website, not application. So website will be addressing applications later on. And because we're addressing website, I'm going to think about, as for the process, I'm thinking about coding. So all those things I can build, and I'm looking forward to build something like that. To extend towards this kind of expertise. And if you would like to check, and I definitely recommend if you haven't yet, I have Showreel. You can check link below on my YouTube channel. You can check Showreel that demonstrates 2.5 minutes of my expertise, of my works that I did. And you can also check deeper into every service area that I deliver out of those free, which is brand identity, interface design, and web development. Free videos, every video addressing its own area. Going deeper in explanation from my experience, and also showcase or capabilities that can be found also linked below, where I am actually taking you through the whole every step to demonstrate, so you will not have any question, taking you through how it works, what to include, testimonials, prices, what's the point, what's the idea, how we go about it, you name it, context. So if you know, a lot of actually case studies to explore. Guys, this is all I want to say. This is Either Merge. I hope you like it. I would say both of those projects are amazing. Nevera, Remark, and Polestar. And I would recommend actually to explore the websites also. And yeah, guys, thank you for your attention. I'll continue doing that. As I mentioned before, I will be exploring, I will be choosing 2 architecture brands, and I'll be addressing them. Later on, I'm thinking to go with Airbnb probably, but definitely Spotify. Maybe even Spotify and iTunes, by the way, in comparison to the same field. That'll be quite interesting. So I'll be considering continue doing that. So I'll be taking A, B, comparing them, not as much as comparing, but just choosing 2 that I think worth of paying attention. And because I see that they're professional in all 3 areas. It's not only UI, it's also UI with respect to UX. It's not only aesthetics of branding, it's also brand strategy, understanding competitive landscape and user needs, right? And also it's coding of high degree if it's website. So that's what I do. Guys, thank you so much for your attention, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.